You might be, let's just say you're in really good shape. Like you look good, the world thinks you look good, but you're over here like giving yourself negative self-talk. Like that's not being whole.
No.
So when you opt into a self-care mindset, you become your biggest cheerleader, your biggest encourager. When you're down, you're the first person to help yourself up.
Our guest today is Jennifer VanCamp. Jennifer has been in the health and fitness space for 5 years, focusing on sustainable methods for helping people reach and maintain their goals. She's currently working on her master's degree in biology at Harvard University's Extension School, and somehow still has time to start her own health and fitness brand called Selfcare Intuition.
And just a few weeks ago, she released her very first book called Starting Your Health and Fitness Journey, which Dan and I had the opportunity to read, and we were blown away at how she is able to teach and simplify complex topics of the human biology, but also providing useful tips and techniques that can be applied by anyone. All right, so let's dive deep into this episode with Jen.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Deep Life. We've got a super exciting guest with us here today, Jen VanCamp, and we're going deep on her new book that she wrote and everything health and wellness. So welcome to The Deep Life podcast, Jen.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I can't tell you how much I admire you because we've been following each other on Instagram for a couple years, and you're what I needed like 10 years ago as this like health enthusiast that is just so ingrained in this wellness space. I mean, you're getting your master's in it. You just wrote a book, which Dan and I finished and love, Starting Your Health and Fitness Journey, which is so incredible for your age to do this.
You did such a good job with that book.
Thank you.
And reading the book, it's so well written and easily digested that anyone, whether you're in the fitness space and you know about it or you don't, can pick it up and read it. You've got work questions in there, how to manage, stress levels and tips on eating. It's so great. We're going to dive deeper into that, but to start off, give us a little background on yourself, Jen, and how you grew up, where you grew up, and what led you to get into the health and fitness and wellness space.
Yeah, sure. And thank you so much for all your kind words. That is so, I really appreciate that. That just made my heart so happy. So thank you for that. Such a kind compliment. So I grew up in the Mid-Atlantic region of the U.S. I spent most of my formative years in Virginia, and I went to university in Virginia. I went to the College of William and Mary. 5 years, I've essentially had this double life where during the day, I am working to help specific patient populations improve their disease outcomes and improve the way we treat patients in the standard of care, and ultimately trying to play our role in creating cures. And on the flip side, I help people who are relatively healthy. Maybe they're at risk for a disease such as obesity, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, but they still have the opportunity to regain their health and move towards health. So on the flip side, I help people with their health in terms of health and fitness.
That's awesome. And I feel like, it's so important to do that because unfortunately there's so many diseases and autoimmune diseases that come, rapidly, especially in humans right now, but a lot of them can be either reversed or minimized a lot with the healthier lifestyle and the different foods that you eat and the movements and stuff. So I just love that that's a portion of your kind of double life.
Yeah, finding that balance between sort of the strict medical intervention versus lifestyle intervention.
Yes, exactly. The choice is still in that person's hands. And I try to catch them at that phase so that they're not having to rely on medical interventions and be forced into a treatment where they have to, for the rest of their life, rely on medical intervention because it's no longer an option for them to just carry out on a healthy lifestyle and maintaining or reducing the risk of disease and symptoms.
I love that. I love what you said because I think that the medical industry, especially westernized, can be so beneficial in so many ways, especially for severe traumatic experiences. But when we're talking about diseases and the longevity of them, people kind of think of it or wrap their head around it as like a death sentence, that they've got this disease for the rest of their life. And it's so bad, and it can be, certainly, but there are certain interventions that are very natural ways to live in the, realm that you do, that can make your life much more comfortable and better, and probably improve a lot of those disease symptoms, that you can maintain and just become healthier and probably rid some of them too. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely work to stay in scope, because there are certain aspects to your health and fitness that really go out of scope, and you do need your doctor to help treat that. But things that are within the individual's control and safely within scope,
Totally.
I will absolutely help tackle that.
Yeah. And there's no two people that are made up the same either, right? So what's going to work for one person may not work for others. It's all trial and error. But that's how we learn too. We're learning as we, coach people. You're learning as you treat them. It's so similar in that aspect.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I want to dive deep into your book, Starting Your Health and Fitness Journey, because like I said, Dan and I read it. Give us a little bit of kind of your reasoning for writing this and what motivated you to do it, because it's incredible. And we highly recommend anybody who's, like I said, either starting a fitness journey or kind of in the middle of one, to pick it up and read it, because you give so many helpful tips and tools. So let's jump into that.
Thank you so much. Again, with your kind words, it makes my heart so happy. So thank you. Wow, why did I write this book? I mean, so many reasons, but when I sit down on my couch and think about why did I write this book, it really kind of came down to I'm really worried about how the health and fitness industry, how we approach helping people. Because if you think about it, people turn to our industry because they need help. I mean, they're very vulnerable in that space, whether, like I said, we have obesity, we have high blood sugar, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Those are risk factors for worse disease down the road. So people turn to this industry as they need help, they need our help. And what I see so often from influencers, gurus, trainers, nutritionists, all of us, all the leaders, the very loud section of the health and fitness industry, they're kind of implementing and pushing these really, I don't want to say optimized, but it's almost as though they're starting their clients off on these highly optimized plans.
Yeah.
Where it's all this workout, all this working out, all of this, cutting your calories and eating a specific way. And it's yes, you will likely see results, but can you maintain those results? Do you actually get to the point where you have ownership of those results? And so often people, oh my gosh, people who don't even know each other will have the same story. You have the story of, I started a diet regimen or a health and fitness regimen. I did it for 6 weeks, 12 weeks. I got the result of 15 pounds lost. Great. But what happens after? That's what's heartbreaking. They are slowly, that result is decaying, and then they're back at the starting line. And that cycle of losing the same 15 pounds over and over again, you lose it, you gain it. That cycle, that's heartbreaking. And I just feel it takes people like us to start being a voice, being an advocate for these people, because they are in a vulnerable space. They're looking for help and a result. And I think it just needs to become more mainstream that there is a way to reach a healthy lifestyle, but it has to be taken in a sustainable way. You have to go sustainable because you need to have ownership of your skills. What's the point of just losing the weight to find yourself back at the starting line? I mean, don't you want to have ownership of that weight loss and then not only get to that point, but to continue moving forward? And that's what I want for people. I want them to unlock and just have this mental freedom and actually live into and press into a healthy lifestyle. And it takes it takes time. It takes a mindset shift. It takes practice and patience. And that is like what my whole book is about. And that's what really drove this book into creation.
That's amazing. And it's so beautifully said. It's really in alignment with our views too, because you're in this, or a lot of people in the health and fitness space, you're in this never ending like hamster wheel of bad diets, yo-yo diets.
Yes.
Up and down. It is. And trust me, I've been there. I used to do all those things, and I would, follow a 30 or 60-day plan and get super in shape and super lean, to not know where to go next. That's the problem with a lot of the corporations and the bigger box gyms, as well as, fitness companies that kind of promote the quick fix.
Yes. And I don't want to bash our industry, because I do love the industry. I do believe at the heart of our industry, our heart is aligned with, we want to help people.
Yes.
It's like a mix between like we as a society, we want things fast. Like we want Amazon packages fast. We want weight loss fast. We want to see results quickly. And that's understandable. It's unfortunate that we're wired that way. I mean, I'm wired that way. If I order something, I want it the next day. So it's definitely like, I fall into that category too. But when we are so focused on fast results, and then we, the leaders, we're also wanting people in our programs. And how do we attract it? We attract them by giving them what they desire. They want a quick fix.
Yes.
So it's both ends. And I think my focus is helping the client side, help them understand that longevity is found in sustainability. It's because you need to own your habits in order for you to essentially default. Like your default behavior becomes upgraded. And that happens when you create sustainable you create action items in a sustainable way so that they can become habits. Hopefully that was not super confusing, but
no.
Oh yeah, that's exactly the right way to describe it. And I think that when people do have that sort of quick fix 30-day program or whatever it is, if you're not building that healthy foundation, if you're not building sustainable habits, then exactly what you said, that you're going to go back to your default as soon as that program is over. You go back to the lifestyle that got you there in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this goes, I was just gonna say, this kind of goes into the next concept that we wanted to talk about, that you put in your book, that really smaller incremental steps within your health and fitness journey is what's going to be sustainable for the long run. And this is so in alignment with our building momentum. It's our slogan. That's where it came from. It just happened naturally. But can you explain to us a little bit about, you're explaining about it, but just more in depth, why it's better to do the smaller steps than jumping with both feet, kind of in the deep end at once, how that's going to really progress and be more beneficial on someone's journey.
Okay. So I might go into outer space on this, but
I know there's so much to talk about with it.
I know, my brain, when I hear that question, I'm I got something. Okay. So if you think about your own lifestyle, why do you behave and act the way you do? It's maybe because along the path you were rewarded or you had a dopamine experience. So these can be good and bad things we engage in. Why do you have that friend? Even though he or she is toxic, why do you work this job? Why are you the way you are? And I
love that question.
Why are you the way you are? And if you think about it, you're why do I live this way? The answer is revealed in your habits. And where do your habits come from? So I kind of think of it, so in terms of sustainability and what that can create for you, I kind of think of it like this. When I'm working with somebody, I first have them think, be very logical. What is one or two things you can work on to take you forward towards health? And I say one or two because that's the sweet spot. Anything more, it's too much for your brain to juggle and process. In the beginning, you're very much coaching yourself to go, I just woke up. My goal is to drink 8 ounces of water within the first 20 minutes of waking up.
Yep.
So if that's a new behavior, it's not going to be natural for you to behave that way at the beginning. So you very much need to coach yourself and Jen, I just woke up. I got distracted, but wait, I got to go do my water thing. So like, it's not natural. You need to coach yourself until it just becomes what you do. Like you wake up, you're like, oh, my mouth, I do notice my mouth is dry. Oh, I do notice I have pressure on my stomach because I need to go urinate. You'll notice these things, and then you'll naturally fall into the habit. Now, I do want to say, so if step 1 is think about an action item. Step 2, it's do it. You will coach yourself in the beginning until you're just falling into that pattern. And then step 3, you will hit a stress point. I don't want to say step 3, but here's a phase in this process. So as you do your action items, you hit a stress. Your stress could be a good stress or a negative stress. A good stress could be like you're getting married, you're moving, you're switching jobs, you're expecting a baby. Like these things, they interrupt your normal routine. Negative stress could be like you're breaking up. Your car broke down, you're whatever, like insert the negative stress. This is so interesting because this will reveal to you what is your default behavior.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this, yes.
Yeah,
exactly. And this is where people who do like the traditional diet, their stress could be they're burned out by doing that diet. It's such a high energy state. That could be the stress. Yes. So the reason why I like stress is because it's going to reveal to you what is your default behavior. It will reveal to you, have you become changed? Because when you're stressed, you're going to kind of revert to like what gives you comfort. What are you comfortable doing? What's natural to you? What's your automatic behavior? And that's why sustainability is so important, because if you cannot maintain that, like through normal days, and then when the stress comes, then you're not going to maintain it when you like reach your goal, no matter if it took 6 weeks, 12 weeks of practice. If you're doing something at a high energy state or like a high like mental, like, I don't know, you're like thinking about it all the time. Motivate yourself, use willpower. If you require all of that, when things are like normal, you remove your accountability group, you remove your coach, you remove willpower and motivation. Like, what are you left with? It's your habits. So you have to allow your habits the time to develop. You need to experience stress while you practice your habits. You need like practice what's hard to you. Practice being stressed out and doing your habits. And then the fourth part, it's when you're able to default to that behavior, then that is a sign that you're becoming changed. And that is when you see your lifestyle become changed. And as you accumulate these 1 or 2 action items over time, like you will not recognize yourself after 6 months, 12 months, a year. And the best part is you own these habits. Like you don't need somebody barking up your tree to tell you, okay, drink water. Okay, Jen, go stretch. Like you own it. It's like, this is who you are now. And that's the power of being sustainable. Having that ownership, being able to easily maintain your action items, the new lifestyle, and all the benefits to come with that.
Yeah. I love your enthusiasm because you share it for you. It's the small steps. It's building the momentum forward, because then, like you said, it becomes second nature and you're on to the next thing that you can build forward. It's like, okay, wait a minute. So I checked off my water. I checked off, like you said, maybe doing like a little breath work. Like what's the next, little habit that I can incorporate? And it's like addictive in a really good way, because you're starting to feel better. And I don't know if you've recognized this maybe in like some of your clients or people that you work with, but people I don't think realize, I don't want to say like how poorly they feel, but
yes.
It really is how bad they feel. And then just implementing, literally getting up and having water with a little bit of like sea salt and lemon and lime is so life-changing for people. I'm so glad that, like I said, you share this enthusiasm for it, because it's great.
I was just saying, I want to go back because I love that example of just like getting up and having a glass of water. And you said it really quickly, but it was a really good point where it's like, you might realize like, oh, I missed it today, but you can just go back and have that glass of water. And then you're still off on the right step, even if it wasn't first thing in the morning. But if you try to do too much, if it was like, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to have a glass of water, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to stretch, I'm going to work out, and go for a walk. Then if you miss it and you're a little bit late, it's so overwhelming. You're going to be so like,
Yes, that's such a good point, Dan. And I want to get back to what Elise said about feeling better. So when you implement too many action items at once, it's because you're vulnerable already because you need to lose weight, or maybe like you feel so insecure and you believe weight loss is the path forward to feeling confident again, whatever the reason might be. But if you are implementing too many action items at once and you're already stressed out because you need to go on this, you need to lose this weight or whatever your why is, it's so easy to get down on yourself and be like, oh, I'm such a failure. Like, oh my gosh, why am I like this? But it's like, you're perfect. Like you really are perfectly fine. The issue is you're doing too much at once and you just can't, like people can't process all these new things at once. Like most of us are not elite athletes trying to get back into season. So like, don't treat yourself like that. Just work on one or two small things at a time that you can sustain easily, that you can handle, on a good day, bad day, sad day, you're mad, sad, whatever.
Yes.
One or two things that you can consistently commit to and keep going.
Absolutely.
And then once that's your default, then you can add another.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Kind of like you're referencing, we are, as human beings in the society that we live in, are used to, the quick fixes, like the Amazon delivery or getting it the next day. So people jump to wanting to do, a handful of healthy habits right up front. Like, oh, I can do that. And it's like, I don't want to tell you no, because I love that you want to do it, but reel yourself back logistically, one or two to start off, even, going on a daily walk. It seems so simple, and it is, but to incorporate that into a lifestyle that you've had for, a decade or 2 decades can be challenging when it's not the default setup.
Yes, absolutely. I will say most people who start off with me, I mean, I'm very firm about 1 to 2 action items. And I might have said most, but I want to say maybe every now and then somebody will start off with me and they're like, Jen, I want to do this workout regimen, CrossFit 4 times a week. I'm like, this way. And I'm like, okay, go for it. Go for it if you must. If your one action item is CrossFit 4 times a week and your other action item is eating a certain way once a week, go for it. And then I'm going to say, okay, it's been 2 or 4 weeks. How'd you do? And they're like, oh, that was so hard. I'm like, okay, cool. Don't hate yourself. Don't hate yourself at all. Scale back. Scale back the intensity. You taught yourself a lesson. Take it as data, become data driven, and scale back and move on. That's it. Like, don't beat yourself up. This is where you're at. Don't judge yourself and just scale back and move on and keep moving forward.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah. It's not, don't look at it as a failure.
No, it's not a failure.
Exactly. Yeah. We do have this need of oh my gosh, I wasn't able to do it, so I failed. And it's like, no, it's actually good. It's a blessing in disguise because now you've hit your limit. So let's scale back. Exactly like you said.
You receive data. So make a decision based off that data.
And it's probably so common, with people when they're first starting out, somebody got motivated enough to come find you, then they're going to be really, really motivated at first to do everything. They want to,
exactly.
So it's coaching people to be patient and slow down and not bite off more than they can chew.
Exactly.
Such an important step.
Yes. That's why I have a red flag and I'm like, no. No, chill. You don't have to impress me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you got the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I think you did a really good job in the book talking about this and the sort of the self-care mindset.
Mm.
And that's such an important thing. And it's something that I see read so many programs, you listen to so many coaches, and I think a lot of people leave that out.
Yeah. Mindset is huge.
Yeah. So we'll leave this kind of open-ended. Can you just kind of talk about why you think the self-care mindset is important and what that means to you?
Yes. A self-care mindset, if you can accomplish this in your lifetime, the sooner the better, you will become so unstoppable in all your goals. Because if you think about it, think about self-care. Self-care, it is the intentional act of caring for yourself, your body. That includes your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, your emotional health, all of those things. And anything that affects your health, it's like a data point worth taking notice in. And like as you develop a self-care mindset, what comes from that is a better relationship with yourself. You learn to respect yourself, to actually love yourself intrinsically. Like you don't search for validation from anybody else. Like you know who you are, you know your intentions, and you live according to what like honors you. So when you adopt the self-care mindset, like you're opting out of what culture tells you should be like, and you're choosing yourself. And I know that sounds so woo-woo, like, ugh, Jen, like that sounds so like romanticized. But when you just like truly become like a whole person, and when I say that, I mean like you become forward facing in your goals because all of you is there. Like you're not like you might be, let's just say you're in really good shape. Like you look good, the world thinks you look good, but you're over here like giving yourself negative self-talk. Like that's not being whole. No. So when you opt into a self-care mindset, you become your biggest cheerleader, your biggest encourager. When you're down, you're the first person to help yourself up. And I think this is just so important because it's not mainstream culture. Like you don't get taught this in school. No. It's not a part of I feel like it's almost niche to have this understanding. And I wish we're more mainstream, because if we're able to love ourselves through our health and fitness journey, we become very informed. We become very intentional about why we do this in the first place. It's not about losing the weight or looking a different way or losing the inches. It is about our health, our longevity, because we love and respect ourselves. And that's like what a self-care mindset can unlock for you. And I want everybody to opt into this.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's almost like the opposite. Culturally, we're indoctrinated at such a young age to seek validation and approval side of us. So it really is like, it's a skill that you need to work at, I think, or like most people I know, I need to work at it. It's something that I tell people all the time that like, you can't hate yourself into being happy or looking a certain way. But even like, I'm telling people that all the time, I still struggle with it.
And we all do, because it's a continuum. Like you never arrive. It's because your stresses change. Your life isn't static. You're growing. You're having new interests, new challenges. Like it's not static. It's your life is changing all the time. New stresses, new friends, new insecurities, and then you just learn to deal with that better because you have the tools and resources. And they start off with caring for yourself because you love and respect yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like we talk about this, or at least Dan and I, we discuss it with clients too, because within the health and wellness space, I love the self-care mindset because mindset starts with the individual person, right? I can't change Dan's mind unless I don't know what. It starts with the person. And I think that within our space too, when we're helping coach people, we're really their therapists as well. And I know that that's not the right technical term. I'm using that as loosely as possible, because when you're working with people, and I'm sure, Jen, maybe this is for you, you do get to understand and know them on a deeper level. Like what's their, exactly like you're saying, what's their why? Like you want to look a certain way, but really why? And that is internalized within you. And you really develop a relationship with clients because emotional weight is a thing. When you're carrying on that burden, and if you're negatively self-toxic, if you're talking to, toxic people in your life, the relationships, because that is kind of like a negative stress, it holds fat and traps cortisol in your body. So I love that, we're kind of therapists. I know that, again, therapist isn't the right term, but we're their sounding boards. We're there for people to vent to us, because I feel like in my health journey, for this decade long, I didn't see the results that I did until I began like loving myself more and really understanding that it starts like with my worthiness. Like I'm worthy of having anything and everything I put my, whether that's 6-pack abs or like a 10,000 foot square house.
Absolutely. Doesn't matter. If you don't have it, you're not more or less worthy.
Exactly. And it's so important. Like we were saying, we don't want to demonize the health and fitness industry because we're in it. We love it. But it can beat you down at a point and give that connotation of, oh, you don't look a certain way, so you don't deserve to be here. Mm-hmm. But you do, regardless of what you look like, you deserve everything, and especially happiness. Internal peace and happiness.
Absolutely.
Is key.
Yes.
So well said.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, oh my gosh. So let's jump into your kind of what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah. So so much about kind of your book and your background, but like, what are you training for now? What motivates you? What does your training look like?
Yeah. And Jen, you're so busy. You just wrote a book, you work, you're in school. Like, give our listeners maybe some like tips and tricks of how you kind of get everything accomplished in the day, or, you know, what you have just been guided to do to get everything done.
All right. So, this will sound really, and okay, please forgive me if this sounds like I'm on a high horse, but the reason why I'm able to practice self-care, the way I do and without, so, okay, here's what I wanted to say. And again, forgive me if this sounds like I'm on a high horse, but how busy I am does not correlate with my ability to take good care of myself. And one of the big reasons why is because I'm very clear on my greatest desires. One of my biggest desires, I don't enjoy pain. I cannot do stomach aches. I cannot do injuries or muscle strains. I'm very aware of that. So if I'm busy and I'm going to go to fast food restaurants, I mean, the thing is, I know I will not be happy camper, and anybody around me who has to listen to me complain will not be either. Yeah. So I'm very aware of that. So I cognizantly make choices because I respect my desire to not feel unwell. So when I get busy, like for an example, I really do enjoy cooking, but this season I've actually experienced like more stress burden than normal because it's fourth quarter of the year, holidays, increase in spendings. So that brings a stress to my life, and I'm experiencing stress right now with quarter four. So rather than me cooking and chopping up vegetables and making this gourmet meal that I love to do, lately, I've just taken the more lazy route, and that means I'm going to Whole Foods and I'm getting pre-washed greens rather than having to chop my own. I'm also doing things that require less prep because, again, my desire is to feel well, and I honor that. I'm clear on that for myself. So I still eat the best I can, but my prep time, I kind of take my time back by reducing my prep time. So that's my tip.
I love that. And that's a great tip for people.
Yeah. Oh, and I will also say, because I don't like stomach aches and I don't do well dealing with pain. It's not my thing. I'm not into it. I don't try to be a tough guy. That's just not my motive. So there are 4 things about my nutrition that I'm very clear on. So my food needs to nourish me. If I'm mad, sad, stressed, busy, name the season, my food needs to always nourish me. I need to feel satisfied by my food. Sometimes people think like, oh, so you're like overeating every single meal, like you're getting stuffed. No, because that would get stomach ache, and I don't do stomach ache. So I'm eating until I'm satisfied. So that's enough food for me to terminate that hunger signal. So I'm becoming satisfied. My food also needs to, I need to enjoy it. If it looks gross and tastes gross, I don't care if it's nourishing. I don't care if it's properly cooked. I don't care if a chef cooked it. If it's not enjoyable, I'm not going to eat it. I mean, I might eat it, but it will lead me to snacking more. And that tends to make me have a stomach ache. So I need to enjoy my food. And the very last thing is my food should not upset my stomach. So those are my 4 rules around food. For working out, I have like a little miniature gym kind of going on. I have dumbbells. I have 2 20-pound dumbbells, kettlebell, slam ball, and resistance bands. I typically like to do body weight workouts so that I can take that workout opportunity anywhere and everywhere I go. But when I'm at home and I want to do like something with more weight or something with more resistance, then I will pick up one of these weights over here. But yeah, so that's for my food and workout. answer all the questions.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great answer. And it does kind of tie back to Elise mentioned earlier, where she's saying like most people don't realize how poorly they do feel. And I think for you, like you realize what it's like to feel good. Mm-hmm. So now there's like, it really is kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, we're the same way. And we've had clients too, like once you start cutting out, toxic vegetable oils, seed oils, a lot of processed packaged foods and grains and gluten, things like that. We always don't want to deprive people of, what they like to enjoy. But it's funny to hear people when we say like, okay, yeah, you can, I hate the word cheat meal, but like, okay, if you want to like indulge, and have a little sweet treat, whatever you prefer. And then they come back to us, oh, I don't feel good after. It's like, that's what we're talking about.
Guys, I mean, this topic, okay, I have a sweet tooth. I love sweets.
Oh,
I really do. And I will be the first one to have dessert with you.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it. But I have to weigh out the cost benefit analysis. Is this delicious treat worth is the benefit of enjoying the delicious treats, is that going to outweigh a stomach ache? And I'm not saying I get a stomach ache after every dessert, but I have a way of introducing the dessert into my diet so that I can minimize the effects of a stomach ache. So I know I already gave some nutrition tips, and I also want to preface this with you guys have to do your own homework and figure out what works for you, because I have done my homework for myself. But what I've learned for myself is if I have an empty stomach, if I'm like starving before a meal, I will never ever do the reverse like eating thing where I go dessert, sides, entree. I won't do well. I have to have a base in my stomach before I have sugar, alcohol, and caffeine. Caffeine's my base in my stomach, because if I have no base in my stomach and I introduce one of those three substances, I'm like screwed for the rest of the day. I'm not feeling well. And again, I know myself well enough to know that if I'm not feeling well, it's not a good day. So I protect myself from that adverse experience by living out like my own truths. I can't do caffeine, alcohol, or sugar on an empty stomach. I can have those things, but I need to honor the fact that I need a base first.
Absolutely. That makes so much sense. We're the same way. And I think that, anyone who's listening to this or that follows, our accounts or your social media accounts, it can be like intimidating to kind of set yourself up on the path to eating healthy. But like you were saying, what we were talking about before, it's the small incremental steps. And it is very individualized because we're not all made up the same. So some of our suggestions that we give to clients don't necessarily work for them, even though they work for us because they're different. So it's really being kind of investigators and understanding what you're eating. And that does kind of take a little bit of time, but not much at all. Like after like 2 to 3 weeks of changing your diet, I mean, your gut and especially the microbiome within it is changing so rapidly. When you're cutting out certain foods, even for 5 to 7 days, you're going to see a noticeable difference once you start adding those back in.
Yes. I think I read something a while ago, maybe years ago, but your microbiome changes like on the second.
Yes.
And it's that quick.
Yeah. And it's informing your brain too, that gut brain connection, which is so imperative to have, to be in tuned with yourself because it's so individualized.
Absolutely. And this whole process, it's about learning about yourself.
It really
learning
is.
about yourself so you can better understand yourself. And the more you are in that mindset, you're going to be able to make really great decisions for yourself based off what you've been learning about yourself.
Exactly. And that's what I love about in your book, because you're giving all these suggestions in, like I said, no pun intended, easily digestible way. But you also have, it's kind of a workbook too. So you've got pages of notes. And if you're getting certain lab tests done for your blood work, you have, the areas to write them in. You've also got, sections where you can take pictures to track your progress, which is huge for us and what we tell people to do all the time. Take pictures, take measurements, pay attention to how your clothes fit, because the scale can be deceiving.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I love that you laid this out all in the book, because it's just, it's so incredible. And, starting, a health and fitness journey is imperative for, I think the trajectory of how we need to evolve with society, to become the best versions of ourselves, to help one another, and to kind of live in harmony, if you would.
Very well said.
Yeah, this has been so amazing, so great. You've given so many tips. Is there any additional information that you want to talk about, or anything that you think that we missed that you want to cover?
No, I think we did a thorough job. And the last thing I would say to people is, as you go on this journey and go down this road, just keep being patient and kind to yourself. That's really so key to moving forward. There's no need to beat yourself up. Really practice cheering yourself on, encouraging yourself, and you will get there.
Absolutely. I love that. That is such a great parting message. It really is. Well, Janet, thank you so much. So give us a little bit more information. Where can people follow you on social media? Tell us exactly, where people can buy your book and get that. Let us know.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at jen.workout. And if you want to find my book, it is on my website at selfcareintuition.com.
Awesome,
Yeah,
Jen.
We'll link to all that.
Yes, we'll link to everything in the show notes. Jen, this has been such an amazing podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for coming on.
I had so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jen.